Hey everyone, today I am going to be experimenting with a new soap recipe. I am going to run into a few issues with my trace, but it is not related to the recipe. I want you to take a look and see if you can figure out what I did wrong. If you don't figure it out right away, I will let you in on what it was at the very end of the video. So take a look and see what we can learn together. As many of you are probably well aware, there is a shortage of olive oil and cocoa butter and all things cocoa related in the world currently, and so those prices have gone up significantly. So like many of you, I was curious to find a new recipe that did not include those ingredients, and I also tried to keep it vegan as well, no animal fats, and see if I could make something that would be cost effective and still have a long trace time, plenty of working time. This soap is sponsored by Bulk Apothecary. You may have heard of them before. They are a very large supplier of raw materials and tools and all kinds of ingredients for soaps and candles and you name it. So I asked them for a few oils to play with, and I've tested this recipe in a very small batch, and we're about to see how it works in a larger batch. Everything that I have put into this soap has come from Bulk Apothecary, except for I have some sodium lactate in my lye solution that did not come from them, and titanium dioxide is going to be one of my colors. Everything else is from Bulk Apothecary. I'm actually going to be blending lavender and lemon essential oils from them. Notice that the lemon is a folded lemon, and that's important because citrus essential oils will tend to fade in cold process soap unless they are folded. And what that means is they've been distilled multiple times, in this case 5 times, and that just makes it more concentrated. So I'm going to use a 50-50 blend of that, and my colors also come from Bulk Apothecary. This is their glitter yellow mica. This is violet blue. It's gorgeous. And then I just have some activated charcoal. And this is mixed with some of the rice bran oil. All of the colorants are actually, except for the titanium dioxide, which is mixed with some olive oil. Okay, so my oils and lye are right around 85, which is fairly cool. But I have a larger percentage of unsaturated oils in my recipe, which means that it's probably less likely that I will have a false trace, which is when the solid oils tend to cool down and get thick, and you think that your soap has come to a trace when it hasn't. And that happens when things get a little too cool. So if you notice that happening, you might want to increase the temperature of your oils and lye. Otherwise, it works pretty well for things to be cooler in order for the soap to stay liquid and pourable longer. Let's get this blended up just to an emulsion and see where we're at. So the only oils in this recipe that I am used to working with are shea butter and coconut oil. Everything else is atypical for me. So that's why I want to be really careful about how long I blend it, just to see how it reacts. I like using a stainless steel stick blender because it's so much easier to see if the soap batter is breaking up on the stainless steel than it is on the clear plastic. So what I'm looking for is for this batter to appear homogeneous without any holes in it. It'll start breaking up and have little holes that you can see. And when you know your recipe, then you can tell if that soap is going to come together or if it's just going to keep breaking apart. The longer you wait, the more you can tell if it's going to break apart. Just I'm going to stick it in there one more time and check it. See just a few little air bubble holes where it's coming apart. I'm going to give it one last burst. Just because the citrus essential oil is also decelerating, and so it's going to keep my batter fluid as well. So I don't have to worry about my fragrance interfering and causing the batter to set up too quickly. Yeah, I think that was a good choice. Okay, I'm gonna pour off just a little bit of this soap for another project and then I'll be right back. Okay, so my plan is to do a Taiwan swirl, and so I'm gonna have each of my 4 colors in the 4 different sections, and then we'll swirl them together. So the first thing I need to do is divide the batter equally into 4. I maybe could have added the fragrance before I divided them out, but I didn't, so it'll come last. Let's do colors next. Staying really fluid, so no problems there. Let's go ahead and add the essential oil blend. You can see how fluid the soap is staying. No problem there. I might even want it to set up a little bit more so that it doesn't flow underneath my dividers. So I'm going to come back in just a little bit to pour the soap and just wait for it to set up a little bit more. I just want to show you something real quick. While I am waiting for my soap to set up, you can see when I pulled my stick blender out, it was not emulsified. And now that it's been sitting for a while, it's breaking apart. But that doesn't mean that my soap is ruined by any means. It just means if I can sit here and wait for it to come to an emulsion, show some small sign of trace, then it'll be fine. It just takes a little more time. Okay, we're definitely at a trace. I maybe left it a little too long. The purple is the thickest, so I hope this works. Ironically, black and white look pretty good and fluid. So I thought I would do black. I always like to seal up the bottom first, because it's going to start leaking under the dividers if you don't. This is actually the texture that I want it to be when I pour this soap. Nice and fluid. The yellow is probably as thick as I would want it to be. The purple is just a little too thick. Looking pretty messy and awful on the top, but I'm pretty sure it's going to look fine once I cut it horizontally, or at least it'll be interesting. So I like to use a glass rod for my swirl tool. Oh, this is going to be fun. The purple is thick, so thick. And the yellow is thick. And the black and the white are fluid. What a funny looking soap. All right. It's an adventure. I got the soap out of the mold, and you can see, first of all, that this is the type of yellow mica that morphs to orange in the wet soap, and then it goes back to yellow once it's all set up. So this looks really great. I love the colors. It does, design-wise, look like kind of a hot mess. And I have some theories as to why that happened. And let's just talk about that while I cut it. This design looks best cut horizontally. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the top off here and get to see what is underneath. Because I think it looks okay. Once we get past the area where the different traces kind of melded all the soap together. Ready? Ta-da! Not too bad, right? Okay, now we're just going to cut it in half, and then we'll be able to cut them in bars this direction. Okay, so what happened with this soap? The black was super fluid. The white wasn't too far behind it, and then the yellow was a little thicker, and the purple was super thick. So you might be tempted to think, well, was it the colorants that made the difference? I don't think so. If you'll notice, when I was adding the essential oil blend, I added different amounts to each color. And that was based on the assumption that it was going to decelerate. And I thought that the black and the white were going to be the ones to set up faster, just due to previous experience. And so I added barely any fragrance to the black part. I added a little bit more to the white, more to the yellow, but mostly to the purple. It had the most fragrance load. So had I added the fragrance up front before I separated out the colors, I think they all would have come out equal. I think that's what would have happened. So here's the great thing about soap making. I learned something with every single batch. Did it turn out exactly the way I thought it was going to? No. Is it still a beautiful design? Absolutely. I even don't know why there's this lighter colored black or gray even right here. There's an outline around the yellow swirls. It's black along this edge, but it's kind of gray in the middle. I don't know why, but isn't it pretty? So with every batch, just make sure that you're learning something new. You take something away from it that you can apply to the next time you make a batch. Also, just remember to check out the recipe that is in the caption. I really liked working with it. I think it produces a really great bar of soap. I'll show you how it lathers in a little video here after this, so stay tuned for that. This is a piece from the test batch that I made. It's been probably almost 4 weeks by now since I made it, so it's mostly cured. The soap feels nice and hard, and I'll show you how it lathers. I mean, crazy lather. Really fast. Feels super silky smooth. And part of that's the babassu oil, which I know is kind of a luxury oil in this, but it does produce really nice soap. And it is a substitute for both coconut and palm oil, either one. So it works really well to boost lather and is also very conditioning.